G'day guys, Josh here. Well, if you haven't noticed, Diablo released their patch today, and they released the patch notes as well. Just if you haven't seen, Twitter, declaring the world is ending because Diablo 4 had a nerf, or Reddit declaring that sorceresses are dead now because of the upcoming nerfs, stuff like that. Or, in general, just you haven't seen Wowhead pop up and say that everyone's dead. Or even your favorite YouTubers being like, this nerf is going to be the end and no one's going to survive Season 1. Which, to be real, guys, I think we're just a bit overreacting to some of these changes. Because some of these changes were absolutely necessary. Otherwise, there would be really no challenge in the game. Now, one example is going to be Druids, okay? Druids need to get nerfed because you can't have Grizzly Rage being Perma Unstoppable and the other Bulwark build existing because it is just absolutely crazy and bullshit on how good these builds were. I mean, having Perma Unstoppable is a bit crazy. But anyways, let's get to the meat and potatoes. Let's get into the patch notes, and let's just go through bit by bit on what's good and what's not good. First up, let's get the patch notes from the horse's mouth, okay? So first up, we got some uniques. So we got the new Uber unique, which is the Spear of Lakenda, which basically creates a shine effect of 10 to 20 seconds after killing an early enemy. Just pray it's always the artillery one, because, oh god, I love being... I forget his name from Fate Stay Night, whatever it is, Gilgamesh, okay? I love being Gilgamesh. Barbarian get a unique sword, like he hits your core skills over 20% of freezing enemies for 3 seconds and deal some cold damage to them. That scales up. That's pretty nice, not gonna lie. Flesh Render, that's pretty awesome as well, especially if you're playing a Rapies build. And you got these two talents you can work back and forth, especially with Bloodhowl as well, given that, if you kill enemies, Bloodhowl keeps resetting the cooldown, so this will be another little added addition to probably Wolfnado or even a Rabies build. Lidless Wall is definitely going to be used on every single Necromancer. I mean, this is amazing. Like, this is an amazing shield. Eagle Horn, I'm going to say, that looks pretty good as well for Penetrating Shot. Penetrating Shot does drop off a bit towards the end. I mean, there used to be the 2-core build of Rogues. And now Sorcerer, this is a bit of a meme, to be honest. You gain the effect of Teleport Enchantment for free. When you evade using Teleport Enchantment, you are taken to a random location. This isn't very good. Okay, I'm going to be real. This isn't very good. Like, I'm going to be honest. Like, you don't, like, the random location is not very good. It's like Feral Charge, for example, in WoW, where they changed it that you go to a direction because disappearing into a random location led to more death than actually, being useful. The new 7 legendary aspects, Audacity, pretty awesome actually, where, basically you CC all the mobs around you for 2 to 4 seconds. Craven, that's even more awesome if you're going to want to speed through dungeons. If you've got CCs, like close CCs as well, where you apply slows or CC enemies, this is awesome. Ancestral Charge is pretty good as well, like increases charge damage. Subterranean, someone said this was going to be very, very good for landslide, especially given the fact that, when Poison Creeper goes active, you get a free landslide basically as well. And also, this is the second part, that 20% increased damage to poison enemies, which means that you may want to play the Poison Creeper, or this could be another aspect to a landslide build. Now, landslide and trample slide, for example, struggle big time in DPS compared to Wolfnado and the other Tempest Raw specs as well. Someone may be like, oh, no, they don't. Like, yeah, they do, given that Wolfnado and the Tempest Raw specs and Shred specs are much better than the Pulverize and Trample Slide respective specs. Now, Gore Quills, they will help out Bloodlance quite a bit, given that Bone Spear has been nerfed quite a bit as well. This is a good one for Bloodlance. Pestilent Points is that every third cast of Puncture is poison imbued. I'm going to see how that's going to play out. It's going to play out a lot better for Poison Rogues. And last but not least, Sorcerer, Searing Rewards. I have no idea how much that's going to add to Sorcerer, given the fact that Sorcerer's biggest struggle is defense, not offense. There's a whole bunch of bug fixes here and there and stuff like that as well. I don't think there's any important bug fixes. Ooh, that's an interesting one. Did not know that one could happen. But as you can see here, there's a lot of bugs that have been fixed. And most importantly for the Barbarian is that the Hammer of Ancients doesn't have that weird stack with another aspect, which increases his damage to God knows how much. And for the rest of them, it's just general encounter fixes and stuff like that as well, which have been fixed either way. Now, another thing that was not mentioned here as well is that now for Helltides, they have, Cinders dropping, but the Mysteries chest now costs 250 rather than 175. So it may be a lot harder to get your Mysteries chest before the chest reset or anything like that as well, unless you just power farm everywhere. There hasn't been any buff in this quest at all, but you want to check that out as well. Now, another thing as well is that World Tier 3 now requires level 50 to enter, and World Tier 4 requires level 70 to enter. So be aware of that as well. So with the speedrunning guides on Season 1, or in general, you have to be level 50 or level 70 respectively to get to the next world tier. So I think a lot of people are going to do the bosses at level 50 rather than, do it at level 47 as quick as they can, because it means nothing, basically. Now, overall, there's a whole bunch of other stuff as well. Loading screen updates, obviously, is like Lost Ark and WoW, where new patches mean new stuff. Now, gameplay updates is Altar of Liliths are now account-wide, same with map discovery. They said this in the Campfire broadcast as well, is that this will carry over to next season. I have seen too many clickbait, rage bait YouTube videos saying that this didn't happen, you would have to do everything again. And I'm just disappointed in that. I mean, they've said this so many times in the Campfire chat that this will just carry over. Now, overall, Whispers don't reward sigil dust, which is great. They just reward a sigil first up. And also, the loot has been improved for the silent chest. So if you see them in the world, you can pick them up a lot better. Last but not least is that channel time for leave dungeon is 5 seconds. And I actually experienced that just then. Now, this is actually a cool one as well. This will actually make the renown grind a bit easier. So side quest renown's back up to 30, and dungeon reward renown is back up to 40, which is actually really awesome. It's also retroactive as well. So this is awesome. And also, this actually helps a lot for getting your renown to tier 3 while you speed level, and just getting your renown done overall. Because this was the biggest headache for a lot of people. Now, World Tier as well. World Tier 2 got buffed. Given the fact that a lot of speedrunning with the campaign was through World Tier 1, and they went up to World Tier 2, depending on whatever, the mobs were too hard for, what they were worth. So it gave them extra gold and extra monster drops as well. And I do agree with the developers as well. Now, just in case you're wondering as well, basically with World Tier 3, so basically monster level is 55. So as you can see here, the monster level will always be -5 compared to you. So as you can see, if you're 62, it'll be 57. And basically, World Tier 3 is max level 1. So you basically have to be 75 before the monsters are level 70 for you as well. But you want to move on by then. And same thing for here as well for World Tier 4, is that if you're 75, the mob will be 75. The minimum mob, monster level will be 75. Just pretty much it. Now, the reward experience for completing Whispers in the World Tiers 3 and 4 have been significantly increased. This might lead to potentially a speedrun being done for Whispers in the World Tiers. So people's going to probably check how much that gives, and it might be worth it just doing favors as well to speed leveling. But it could be Nightmare Dungeons could be more preferable. You never know. Now, last but not least, this is actually a big nerf as well, is that they've changed how experience works. So previously, it was 3 levels and higher, you get 25%. Now, if you want to get maximum XP, it is 10 levels or higher to get 15%. That's 1.5% per level. Now, this is to really just stave off boosting at the moment, but this is the big one as well. So pretty much with World Tier 2, it's up to 3. Next one's up to 10. And next one's up to 100. So, okay, that's the offsets, okay, for the current one. So, basically, if you're thinking you grow 10 above level, World Tier 2 is 3 above level, and World Tier 4 is 100 above level on your experience cap. Now, this will go to 3 for World Tier 2, 6, and 10, which means if a friend brings you to level Tier 4, and you kill 100 monsters, the level 1 only gets level 11 monster EXP rather than level 100 monster EXP. So, this is a massive nerf. So, you can't just boost people through World Tier 3 or World Tier 4 dungeons and watch everyone get to level 50 very quickly. Now, a lot of people are very pissed off about this change, okay? Very pissed off. They didn't want this to happen, because now leveling is going to be more of a drag than usual. However, overall, given the fact that with my speed leveling guide so far, I've done an hour and 30 minutes to get to level 20, it could be still a bit quicker doing the boosting via this method. Now, Helltide, by the way, they've changed Helltide to make monsters 3 levels higher than the plans. They have 2, and as I said before, costs 250. But now you can get more Helltide zones you can get more interactable objects with, any cinders in there as well. Now, the balance patch, well, people are not going to like these as well. So we'll go through here. You can see here that they've buffed the barbarians somewhat at the same time, but also nerfed it in other areas as well. They're trying to build a difference of build. Whirlwind Barb got nerfed significantly, as you may see shortly as they got nerfed significantly. But Gore's Devastating Grips have been buffed as a result. You can see there's a few buffs here and there for different barbarian builds. This could lead to a extra setup as well, or extra change. Now you can see here with a lot of other builds as well, Stormstrike got a nerf. Given that most builds have been building Stormstrike anyway, so I can see why it's got nerfed. They have buffed Trample, Savage, Trample Spirit, and Boulder, because these were receiving no play whatsoever, and then Prime Lacerate as well, but then again, not many people were playing it. Then you got Cataclysm and Tornado damage being buffed as well, and Supreme Cataclysm's vulnerability being increased from 2 to 3 seconds. I'm going to say Prime Cataclysm was increased to 4 seconds as well. A lot of these aren't seeing much play, hence why they're trying to buff them as well. Now, they've nerfed Prime Grizzly Rage, and this was an acceptable nerf. I mean, Unstoppable for the entire duration of Grizzly Rage was absolutely imbalanced, given the fact that a lot of people were perma Grizzly Rage. Provocation, basically, it's been reduced. This is actually a good overpower boost as well. Spirit Boots, as you can kind of see here. Masochistic, Prickle Thorns, Iron Feather. Iron Feather is a bit of a buff as well. Same with Fortify, and Overload damage is pretty awesome as well. A little buffs to the Spirit Boots here and there. Spirit Glyph bonus now affects all damage that its core skills. This is a huge buff overall to Druids. It's that Spirit used to be only for core skills, now it's to everything. So basically a bit more damage overall across the board. Now the aspects as well. Aspect of Calm Breeze, which is a Wind Shear, which doesn't get used too much, increases 7 to 12%. Balance Aspects gets increased to 60 to 80, which is pretty awesome. Aspect of Tempest, they're trying to get Hurricane a bit more used, 10 to 18%. Symbiotic is now 4 to 8 seconds CD reductions to 3 to 5 seconds. This one got nerfed big time because of Urban Bulwark. This is a big nerf to Urban Bulwark and a much needed change as well. The Shepherd change is actually pretty decent as well if you run companions, where you can have, if you have a Raven, 2 Wolves, and a Finger, you get 40% extra damage, which could be decent for that top end. It really depends, and also you can build it with that extra companion as well to maybe get more damage. Might be something here. Aspect of Stampede bonus gets a bit higher. This is for Trample Slide, really, but it's a slight bonus as well. And Insatiable Fury and Mad Wolf's Glee, they're trying to get people to use this as well. They increase the Werebear and Werewolf skill ranks to 2 to 3. This could be good for some Tempest Raw specs. It just really depends. But since there's a lot of defense nerfs as well, it really hits kind of hard. Now you can see here there's a lot of nerfs in particular to other aspects that have been very overpowered for the Necromancer, but there's also a lot of buffs to the other areas as well. Now, I'm going to say Bone Spear has been nerfed a lot. Okay, as you can see here, the Splintering aspect. But a lot of other aspects have been boosted as a result, so I think it's trying to encourage nuke builds while nerfing all the damage. Rogue, I'm going to say here, they've increased a lot of, I'm going to say for Rogue as well, that they've increased a lot of the damage for it as well. I think they're trying to nerf, no, they got more damage reduction as well, so I think they're trying to nerf the double core build, but it seems like it's just all buff for Rogues at the moment, and Rogues can be very popular in Season 1. Sorceress is a bit strange. Now, a bit strange as in, like, they nerfed its only, like, decent build, but they also buffed all the other builds as well. Now, Devouring Blaze is one of them, okay? They nerfed it big time, okay? Now, I'm going to say right now, they nerfed it big time because that was the only build to make. But I don't think they really buffed the rest of it to make it even better. They also buffed a lot of elements damage reduction as well, which may help their squishiness, but I think it's not going to help their squishiness at all, given the fact that they just get absolutely one-shot, and even with all the armors and stuff like that on them as well. I just don't think any of this is going to help them so much that they're not going to be one-shot. Like, a lot of it's more towards damage, but not enough damage, basically. I'm just going to say, I think Ice Shards is relatively okay at the moment. I mean, what they did, they basically changed the frozen stuff to the other stuff of Ice Spikes to make it more consistent. But I would say overall, like, they need a defense fix, okay? Like, they need a defense fix big time. Sorceress. It's not the offense that's an issue anymore. Now, other aspects as well, they nerfed Disobedience. That's understandable. Disobedience used to be a staple imprint for every class, regardless. Like, it was way too good, so I can understand why they nerfed it. This is actually a big nerf for Sorcerers and a lot of other classes as well. The main reason why I say this is because, like, basically Armor's the best defensive stat. So, Accidental Retribution, damage reduced to basically a lot of people use this to, once they're small was done, to do a lot of damage. And Exploiters, so not many people use it anyway. And Starlight Aspect, some people use it as well, but I guess, hey, it's a buff to 20 to 40, which could be good for some classes. Now, the Butcher's Cleave is slow. Don't really understand. It's probably a PvP nerf more than anything. Doesn't really matter too much. So they do some drop rate adjustments as well. So they increase the bonus to drop Ancestral and Sacred Items in Nightmare Dungeon by 10%, which is awesome. And then basically remove 20% on the outside world. And basically, they've increased the drop rates in Nightmare Dungeons to grind legendary items, and also gets free items on completion. So basically, I think the biggest issue with a lot of people is that they grind Nightmare Dungeons to get absolutely nothing. This may help it to help that they actually get something. Now, this is an interesting change where basically increased monster HP scaling from 85% to 100%. So I was a bit surprised that it wasn't 100% to begin with. So it's going to be a lot harder to do it in groups. And I think this is why group leveling was the best, because the mobs only scale by 85% rather than 100%. Now, I gotta say right now, the Greed Shrine scaling, this needed to be done, given the fact you're getting like 1 or 2 gold, while with the Greed Shrine up, when you should be getting a lot more. Well, bosses now drop potions more often, you'll probably see this as well. And there's no longer a limit to how many materials you can refine to high materials at once, which I never actually ran into. Now, this is the big nerfs as well, and I gotta say right now, they've added new affixes to your items. Control and pain reduction, barrier generation, like a hit chance when you have a barrier, master skill damage, which is basically on sorcerer weapons, and resist or elements which can appear on shields. Okay, so these are the new ones they've added. Now, I'm going to say right now, you can probably read through this on the website, but basically what they've done is they smashed CDR really hard, so you have less, negative 30% in your top roll. They've smashed weapons really, really hard on stats, as you can see here. Now it's going to be 25% on weapons, like stronger instead of 50%. They've smashed critical strike damage cleanly, as you can see here, 17% and 40% of vulnerability damage. And they've done the same everywhere else. Now, someone will be like, oh, why did they smash these ones in particular? I mean, every single best in slot spec and build was purely vulnerability, crit strike damage, and cooldown CDR, okay? And also damage to CC mobs as well. All the other ones, as you can see here with physical damage and stuff like that, all these are ones being increased. Nobody used those, okay? Because they were never good, okay? It was always the crit damage was much better. So we'll see like how this ends up. This could end up very well or end up very poorly where everyone's damage goes downwards. Now, everyone's complained because everyone's got the old stats that now have been normalized, but they haven't used the new stats to see if they've been increased in damage as well. So we have to wait on this one, and we'll have to wait for the builds as well. Now, another one that's been nerfed is total armor as well. And also all the DRs have been nerfed as well. This also somewhat nerfs like a lot of builds, other than, funnily enough, Evan Bulwark for Druids, because they take damage reduction while injured. But as you can see here, there's a lot of nerfs here on the damage reduction overall. I think there's some builds that you can actually build where you're basically like 90% damage reduction. I think this is what they're trying to preempt for as well. But like I say, that's pretty much it with the buffs and nerfs. And I've got to say, there's some a bit of worry for sorcerers, but I gotta say at the moment, like you don't panic and uninstall the game because of it. There are gonna be, changes that will, matter and will be in your benefit as well. Next up, we're gonna take a look at the Malignant Hearts as well for the rest of the classes as well. Okay, guys, we'll go into the Malignant Hearts quickly as well. We've got them here on maxroll. So there are 32 Malignant Hearts. So there's the orange, the blue, the purple. So for the orange, blue, and purple, so orange is a offensive power, blue is a defensive power, pink's a utility power, and black is the super power. Okay, they drop a million monsters, blah, blah, blah. They'll drop a heart corresponds to its color, so if you see an orange heart, it's an orange one, blah. And all of these stats you see reflect what a level 20 character will receive as a drop, okay? And basically, as you level up, you'll see more powerful it is, okay? So first up, we're going to get the General Rods, the Picana. Critical strikes electrically charge the enemy for 0.75 to 2.5 seconds, causing lightning arc between them, and any charged enemies dealing lightning damage. So it's basically like a chain lightning. Good for AoE packs, essentially, as well. If you grab it early on while you're just running around, might as well use it to just farm those strongholds, while you're leveling up. Next up, you got for World Tier 3. Every 5 seconds while above 60% health, core skills cost life instead of primary resource, which is pretty cool. Skills that consume life deal 10 to 20% extra damage. Which means it's kind of one I've seen from PoE where they use life instead of mana. So this is kind of interesting as well. Next up is Tempting Fate. This is in World Tier 3 as well. You gain 40 to 60% critical strike damage, but your non-crits deal less. So if you've got a crit build or something in a very, very high crit chance, this will be actually a net gain for you as well. And you just got to make sure, you got to realize your non-crit damage is going to do a lot less. But if you crit or have more chances to crit while someone's stunned or CC, anything like that, or have a 100% crit rate, or you have Lupine Ferocity, i.e. Druids, a Shred build, this is going to be one you want to go for. So with Lionheart, you gain 10% barrier generation, you heal while you have a barrier. Like I say, this is not really that good, to be honest. It's pretty shit. I mean, there's not going to be a situation where you have a barrier and not much health. And also, barrier generation is not that powerful given the fact that your barrier can't go above, your thing. You have to have a barrier to begin with. Your base HP, that's what I mean. Revenge, 10%, 20% damage is instead suppressed. When you use a defensive, such as your mechanical skills, all suppressed damage is amplified by 250%. It explodes, dealing a certain amount of damage to nearby enemies. That's good. Okay, so it's basically like, Stagger in WoW with Brewmaster Monks. You mitigate 20% damage, is suppressed within you, and you explode it out, which is pretty awesome. Good defensibility. Prudent Height, you become immune for 2 to 4 seconds after you lose more than 20% life in a hit. This is basically the Vigo Bubble Mark 2, so you can have double of those. It's alright, but not that great, okay? I think a lot of classes, especially Sorcerers, it seems great, but you're just getting one shot. You're not getting the immune bubble. The utility we got here is that Determination, resource draining effects are 40-50% less effective. In addition, you gain more generation. This is very good in the dungeons where they resource burn you, but that's it. It's not that great overall. Retaliation, deal 510 to 685 damage to surrounding enemies whenever a crowd control effect is removed from you. So if you become unstoppable, you just explode and do a bit of damage. That's so-so. The calculated, after spending 150 to 200 of your prior resource, your next attack stuns enemies for 3 hits. I guess if you got a lot of AoE, this would be amazingly well. Next up is the Malignant Pact. So basically, cycle through a Malignant bonus every 20 kills. You get 20% attack speed, 50% chance to restore your primary resource. Every 21 seconds, you gain a barrier, absorbing X amount of damage. That's so-so. Creeping Depth. Your damage over time effects increase by 30 to 40% for each crowd control effect on your target. Some monsters and staggered bosses take 110 to 150% from your damage time effects. This is very good for poison builds for rogues and druids. The Barber, which is ironically enough, for the Butcher. Critical strikes and all subsequent damage within 2 to 4 seconds is absorbed by a target, then the absorbed damage erupts onto your surrounding enemies. If you got a single target build, it's actually very, very good. Okay? Because you can just pump and it explodes and does giant AoE damage. However, you gotta see how far it is. Is it a 10-yard range, 20-yard range? How big is it? Now, every single class has its own offensive, defensive, utility, and super pact. And a super one drops in tier 4. So you got Focused Rage, your basic skills critical chance increased by 20 to 30%. That would actually work very, very well, as with Tempting Fate, obviously, as well. Then you got Resurgent Life, while below 46% life, you receive 56% from all healing sources, which is so-so. I think they do have a lot of healing, from their own abilities. Your skills have a 20 to 30% chance to knock down all enemies for 1.25 seconds, and that skill attack speed is higher than 35 to 20%. I'm not really too sure. And last but not least, which is Ignore Pain. And it's actually pretty good. 5 to 10% chance of ignoring a damage attack and instead healing you for that amount, which is alright. The Moon Rage. Kills have a 5% chance to summon a wolf companion to your side for 20 to 30 seconds. In addition, gain 3+ to wolves. This is actually fairly decent if you've got a companion build. So every extra companion you get 10% extra damage. And this could increase your damage overall. I wonder if this build is going to be constantly ran as an AoE build. I mean, if you have a 5% chance and you're just grinding mobs non-stop, you could get 100 or 150% bonus with your extra wolves out. Agitated Winds. Winners 8 to 13 close enemies automatically cast Cyclone Armor. This occur more than 10 to 20 seconds. I guess you get a bit of extra damage reduction. Also, if you got the knockback, you knock them away, which is pretty awesome as well. And also, you can give them vulnerability as well if you're playing Wolf NATO. Explorable Force. Up to 30 to 50 enemies are pulled towards you when you have the ultimate skill active. This is actually really, really, really good for both Grizzly Rage with the Wolf NATO spec, and potentially could be good with our specs as well. But, I'm not sure if it works with Petrify. If it works with Petrify, this is a godsend, because you can get everything together, just landslide and kills them all at once. The Unconstrained Beast, okay? When you are hit with a stun, freeze, knockdown effect, there's a 46% chance that you activate Grizzly Rage for 3 seconds. Not so great, to be honest. RNG elements where you become super powerful for a small amount of time is not that great, to be honest. Necromancer. Walking near a corpse automatically activates an equip court skill every second, dealing 40 to 30% reduced damage. That's alright. Decrepit, at least 5 years near you, you get an aura that automatically curses surrounding enemies with Decrepify for 5 to 15 seconds. That's actually really, really good. It gets curse everywhere, good AoE, pretty awesome. Frozen Terror, well, you got Freezing, Feared, Shield, CC'd, good to see. The Great Feast. Each minion drains 1-2 essence per second, but deals 50 to 75% extra damage. With no minions, it applies to you and drains 5 essence per second. If you've got great essence generation, this is actually really, really good, even to you or everyone else. I mean, 50 to 75% increased damage is fairly good. All I'm going to say is Vile Apocryphy is actually very, very good as a rogue. Like, it's insanely good as a rogue, even if it's a frozen or poison or a shadow. Custom munitions as well. That's very good. Good CC, and you can just burn them down. Trickery is also very good as well. Jeez, a taunt and also a 5-second cooldown. Jeez, that's actually fairly good, actually, because you can just get them all into a certain area and just blast them away. An Eclipse Shot, yeah, so-so. I mean, a slow is alright, but it's not anything special. Sorcerer, Tower Rasha. For each unique element you deal damage with, you deal 7 to 12% increased damage for 3 to 10 seconds. So, you know, it could incorporate a fire, ice, lightning spec, but we'll see what happens. It hasn't really been that great for sorcerers so far. Spell breaking up, taking elemental damage, gain 20%. I don't understand why you introduced this hard. Honestly, resistance is the worst fucking defense. This is not good at all for sorceresses. Spite, when you're afflicted with a CC effect, there's 20% chance the same enemies and enemies around you also afflicted the same effect for 3 seconds. Ugh. I hate these RNG ones because if they're not reliable, they are not used, okay, in ARPGs. Omnipower, core skills that launch projectile consume all your mana. For every 45 or 35 extra mana consumed, you launch an additional projectile, and the damage is increased by 3 to 5%. If this is per thing, so if you lose 35 mana, another projectile, and use 35 mana for another projectile, this could be deadly. This could be deadly. Anyways, guys, that's going to be it for today. That's going to be it for my video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. For going through all the patch notes. All I'm going to say overall, Sorcerers did get a bit of a bending over, given that some of their hearts are not that great. I think Tower Rasha and Omnipower have some utility, but everything else is not that great. Rogues have got a lot of love. I can see, like, you know, a lot of their combos and synergies. It's just which one you're going to pick, basically, as well. And it's good to see some of the builds that were just clearly overpowered get some nerfs. And also see, you know, some littler builds get some love. Anyways, guys, see you guys later. I hope you guys have a good one.